Hey Blue Group, today we're going to be looking at fractions on a number line as a different way to represent our fractions. So I've got this example here, and basically what I've done is I've drawn my number line and I've put a bunch of tick marks in between. What you'll notice is that each tick mark is equally spaced. That's super important when we're working with our fractions, right? On the first end is going to be my 0. So if we want to figure out what fraction that's going to be a part of, that's a great idea. So this one is 0 out of 4 because there are 4 parts. Notice that there's only 3 lines drawn here, and then there's actually 5 lines total, but we know from our measurement unit that we don't count the lines, we're counting the spaces in between. So if you count from here to here, that's 1 space, 2 spaces, 3 spaces, and 4 spaces. A lot of times if you're having trouble with this, visualizing it, imagine that I connect this line all the way across and all the way down here, and it becomes a big rectangle that's partitioned into 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. So we know from before our break that we talked about 1 whole is equal to the numerator and the denominator equal to the same. That's going to be 1 whole. So then the marks that go in between are going to be 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. If you go into the additional resources page today, you'll see that I've linked 2 Nearpod codes that are going to go over this with you a little bit further in detail, because today's activity, if you look, real quick, is just drawing 7 equal lines using a ruler across your page. Mark the left end as 0 and the right end as 1 whole. If you want to represent this as a fraction, feel free to. Then you're going to partition the lines into the following fractions: halves, thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, eighths, and twelfths. And you want to make sure again that you are trying to keep them as equal as possible. So here's the example of the problem that I put in the choice board. However, if you want to write this as 0/4 and this one as 4/4, you are more than welcome to do that. Just be careful not to write 1 whole and 4/4 because that could get confusing for some. So looking at that additional resources page, the first link doesn't seem to want to be working. For me, it could just be that their servers are overloaded today. If it doesn't continue working, then this website in particular is a good one. You could just go over to fractions here, and it's got fraction worksheets, learning worksheets, fraction printables. So if you're looking for more of those kind of templates of things to do, that is going to be on there for you. You can just go down, and it's got some math help, and it's got some online games, and then just a fraction calculator even. And then here's the fraction printables that I had tried to link to earlier. And it's just going to, there's a lot of content on here, but it will break it down into each of the different categories. Printable fraction strips, these are going to be great resources for us to use when we are continuing with our fractions on a number line and into next week. So I will definitely be linking and talking more about those, but if you want to familiarize yourself with those are here. And then here's the page that I really wanted to get to. That's why it says in parentheses, scroll down, is the fractions on a number line actual resources here. So it's got them all broken down for you if you want to see how to partition them equally, as well as empty fraction lines if you want to practice that. And then it even has some, let's see if I can find it. Here we go, where they're missing blanks if you want to fill them in, or where it will have the 0 on the one end and the 1 whole on the other, and it's up to you to figure out what fraction it was partitioned into. And then it's just got a ton of, if that's more of what you're looking for, those kind of fraction worksheets. Then also, this was another page I linked yesterday where it's got all of those worksheets about naming fractions. But again, same thing if you scroll down. So again, if you need more practice, here are the fractions locations on a number line. So it'll say at what point is C? Where is letter C? And I can see that A, B, C, and D. B is at 1/2. So I would imagine that it is at. Oh, I'm sorry. The question here says which letter best shows. I'm sorry. It's so tiny I can't read it on my. Oh, 2/2. So 1 whole. So that would be answer D. And then there's also partitioning and labeling. So here's where it actually will give you the line and tell you how many spaces to partition it into. I wouldn't focus on negative numbers yet. Here's mark the location of 0, 6, 1/4. So these are all of those resources that we would utilize in our notebooks and things like that, just for that additional practice, especially if you didn't get to get your notebook. And then the other great thing is that there are 10 versions. So if you do one of these versions, we are focusing on partitioning and labeling number line fractions, determining fraction values on a number line. So these are the two that I would really stick with. There's even flashcards. I mean, there's everything you could possibly need in here. They're just extra. The other thing is that it can create other sheets, and it gives you the answers to the sheets in that file as well. So you can actually go through the first 3 here are answered for the students so they get an idea, and then the rest of them are answered there for you as the parents to have them self-check even, and then they circle the ones that they missed, and then we discuss them together. But definitely utilize those additional resources. Those were the first 2 or 3 here, and then there's a couple of YouTube videos, a LearnZillion link, which is another video tutorial of how to partition fractions, and then these 2 Nearpod codes. That first one is where I actually had that example for you guys. Oops, I'm sorry, I skipped it. That first one there is going to be where you can find this particular example and some more step-by-steps and some kind of interactive pieces for you there. So if you have any questions about this, we're going to be doing fractions on a number line today, tomorrow, and Friday. So you'll have plenty of a chance to get some extra practice there.